and over again. It's a great strategy for creating small businesses, mid-sized businesses, potentially large businesses, but only in an indirect way. So this strategy is called catering to power users. Now, it's exactly what you think of when you think of power users. Power users are anyone who uses a service, uses a platform in a way that is atypical from the normal users. So the ones who use it the most get the most out of it. So now specifically, I'm talking about platforms. They could be marketplaces, they could be subscription services, anywhere where there's a platform where lots of people interact with it. When I say platform, I really just mean big company. I'll explain that in a second. In general, when startups or businesses create marketplace startups, or they create platform-based startups, they have kind of this obligation to cater all of their features and all of their services towards the entirety of their user base. So when a company like eBay or Amazon creates administration tools, creates services that help buyers and sellers facilitate trade, they're typically going to focus on X, Y, and Z that every single user has demand for. Now, these X, Y, and Z features are going to appeal to even the person that buys one thing once a year, or the person who buys 10 things a day. Flip side, buyer side, same thing. Person who sells one thing a day, and the person who sells 5,000 things a day. So when I say power user, I mean the people that use this service or platform to the extreme. They are generally the top 10% of the user base. Now, this varies from platform to platform. If you're going to eBay, for instance, if you were to just look at all the users they have, only probably 5% qualify as power users. But of all the items you see listed, it could easily be 60% are represented by these 5% of users. That's what I call power users. Power just comes from power law. Power law specifically means that a small group of people disproportionately produces a large amount of the goods or services in any system. Remember in the previous lecture where we talked about deep versus wide wells? I'll remind you, it's better to always go after a deep but thin well than a shallow but wide well, meaning that if you're going after customers, it's always better to go after a small group of people who really want your stuff versus a large group of people who are like, I'm not totally sure, I'm somewhat interested. This is a perfect example, and this is a perfect way of starting a deep, thin well strategy to grow your business. So let's just go through some of the popular platforms. We can talk about what the power users look like and what are their specific needs, just based off of common knowledge or my experience with the platforms. All right, let's start with eBay. eBay, everybody knows what that is. It's a big auction website. They've been around forever. They haven't honestly changed much in the last even 6-7 years. All they do now is charge more money and give worse responses in their customer service. In general, a power user on eBay, they churn through sales. They probably sell an order of magnitude more than a regular seller. Regular seller, maybe they sell 10 things a year. I'm a regular seller. Occasionally I'll sell something, and maybe I do one thing every 2 months. Power users are people that probably sell anywhere from 50 to 100 times as many as the regular user. These people, they churn through inventory, and they have legitimate operations going on. They have needs for legitimate large services to help them with their large shipping, operational, financial needs. There's a phenomenon in eBay called the consignment store. And what a consignment store is are small businesses that have opened up to work with power users just to help them list all of their excess inventory, because getting on eBay, listing it, maintaining the listing, answering questions, figure out who bought it, packaging, selling it, that's a lot of work, especially when you're doing thousands of items. And a lot of times these are small businesses with small margins. They can't justify having a team to run it. So a consignment store is a great example of a business that caters to power users. Power users drop off their items there, and then they take a cut and they sell it. Consignment stores also work with regular users as well, because they take a very large portion of the money. So the question is, what are the needs of the power users that eBay doesn't have or isn't supplying them because they can't justify it based on their entire user base? There's lots of them. Power users probably don't want to spend a lot of time writing descriptions, making their listings look good. eBay has a templating system, but their templating system is very primitive, it's very simple, and it actually a lot of times takes more time to edit than it is to create a new one. Big eBay stores, they buy their inventory and flip it. So a lot of times they end up with excess inventory. eBay doesn't have anything that can help them do flash sales or manage that different section of their business that isn't doing so well. Maybe it's the case that some of these power users, they have a really hard time figuring out where to ship their items, and it's a huge task for them to get onto eBay, see where they sold their items, print off all this information, organize it, and get it out in the mail. Just within what I just described, there's probably 30 different business opportunities, helping them pull all the information off eBay, put it into some organizational tool or some way they can easily understand it, then moving it into things like shipping labels and coordinating with UPS, USPS, or whatever your shipping service is to pick up their items. There's a business opportunity in every single segment. Maybe they need a service that helps them whenever they post something on eBay, it automatically auto-post it on Craigslist or whatever your local equivalent is. Okay, let's talk about another platform. Amazon, very similar. Lots of eBay power users are also on Amazon. Amazon also has the same issue. They have some users that sell millions of items, and they have some that just sell a couple. So what's a need that you would need on the Amazon platform if you're selling 1,000 items versus one? If you had one, you don't have a ton of problems or a ton of need for specific or customized services, where if you're selling 1,000, you would struggle to do basic tasks and you would struggle to use generic services that aren't customized. Just to throw out a couple, one thing that's specific to Amazon is they have customer service. When people complain about something, they ship it back, it needs to get fixed or refunded, and within a certain amount of time. That's a big deal for Amazon users. Amazon doesn't help them with that, so perhaps that's something they could need help addressing. You can also look for trends within marketplaces. Here's another trend that's happening is Amazon. If you're not totally familiar with this, it's the gold rush phenomenon of people who are all rushing onto the platform to write Kindle books. You might have read about this. It's kind of controversial. A lot of people call it catfishing. But what's happening is lots of people are getting on there, writing their own books, having them ghostwritten, and then selling them. That's a big thing. But that trend is also still growing, and it's still probably in the medium scale of its life. So there's still opportunities to help that specific group of people who are spending lots of money and have specific needs get what they want to get done now. Let's talk about another platform, Udemy. This is one you're probably familiar with because you're on it right now. There are a million things not done on Udemy that could cater to power users. I mean, I could make an infinite number of lists. If you guys want to make a power user business based on Udemy, just message me. I could give you 1,000 different things that you could work on. Let's just start on one, for instance. Analytics on Udemy are a nightmare. When I look at who's been looking at my page or how many people have bought the course and haven't bought the course, that information is so fragmented and so hard to understand, it's basically worthless. If you could help address that problem, you'd have lots of people who are interested in that. Another one, split testing. How do I know if I write a good description versus a bad one? Udemy does not help me do that. Google Analytics doesn't help me do that. If you could figure out a way of solving that, that's a big opportunity. There's also tons and tons of services that are needed by power users on Udemy that no one really caters to. Getting course thumbnails designed, no one actually does it. Udemy has a free service, but it's slow and it's not particularly good. Course promotion packages are something that nobody really has. Lots of people want to make a course, but they don't want to have to focus on learning how to make a YouTube strategy or a Facebook strategy, or learning how to get immediate feedback and early reviews, etc., etc. People will be willing to pay a premium, and it's something that people struggle with every day. Generic other packages you could do. You could help people with design. You could help people with what are called bumpers. If you notice at the beginning of our lectures, we have the introduction to the course from SprintKick, and the end we have the outro from SprintKick. Those are called bumpers. Generally things that most instructors want to put on, but they don't even have the slightest idea how to start with, but they have demand. Yeah, so anything I just talked about, there's virtually no service for it. Udemy is not even remotely close to solving that problem, and there's probably 5,000 people that have these problems on the platform you can immediately sell to. The way you'd reach them, well, it's easy. Use their platform, get onto their Facebook group, and just message people. Okay, guys, so that is the power user strategy. Pick a platform, research it, see what's wrong with it, see what the power users need that they're not getting, and cater to them. This strategy generally works on platforms that are newer. Like eBay is so old that there's already thousands of services that help people with various things. So if you try to do it on eBay, really what you're going to be doing is trying to look for a better way of offering a service that already exists. But Udemy is a great example of a new one. They are growing so fast that I'd say their development feature set is probably 2 years behind. They're really trying to play catch up. It's not going to be a while before they even think about offering these services, so you do have a good window. There are tons of communities and marketplaces out there that you can do this on. It doesn't have to be a huge service, but it could be anything with a community. Anywhere where people are spending money or they're invested in getting exposure or using a platform. There's Etsy, there's Airbnb, there's the get-arounds, really anything. I see businesses like this pop up all the time. There's a service called Zephyr for Uber and Lyft drivers, which helps Uber drivers understand when people are most likely going to be landing at the airport and gives them suggestions on when to stake out at the airport to get rides. Great example. This works generally any marketplace startup. Okay, so pick a platform, research it, see what the problems are, see what people are complaining about, get in there, get a little bit of familiarity to help you understand it. But it's one of those things that after a day of research, you'll find plenty of problems with wide open opportunities to start making money. And then how do you promote it? Well, you hijack their platform, use their platform to communicate to them or to get their attention the same way that the company themselves got the attention. All right, guys, questions, clarifications, post the group discussion. Otherwise, see you in the next lecture.